Hey, I'm Ben Finane, editor-in-chief of Listen Magazine. I'm here at Steinway Hall, and today I'm talking to Steinway artist, pianist Yuja Wang. Your parents were both artists. Your father was a percussionist, your mother was a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
How did they lead you to piano, or how did you arrive at the piano?
Well, the piano was their wedding gift, so it kind of was sitting there at home. And my mom actually wanted me to be a dancer, but I'm not very flexible or disciplined, so I failed at that. And then I love music. She bring me to the rehearsals of the dancers like Swan Lake and Tchaikovsky and other stuff. So I like music, and I just was piano was like a toy, so I just play around. And my dad is very adamant about rhythms. So every time I practice, I was very scared that he's around, but it's okay if my mom is around. Yeah.
He adamant about rhythms. He wanted you to get the correct rhythm, or he was telling you not to rush, or...
Oh, he's like a Nazi. Like
yeah.
Rhythm-wise, note-wise, I have to be super clean. He has a good ear. So his other job is people give him tapes and he can write it down as a score, so like transcriptions. So yeah.
I wonder if it was your first introduction to music being Swan Lake. Did that start a love of the Russian romantics for you?
Yeah, I think so. It must be. I don't know if it's a music or the feelings that music invoke. Well, I was quite young, the romantic feelings, and I remember I listened to it over and over again. And then I have the Chopin Etudes by Pollini and Chopin Nocturne by Rubinstein, so lots of romantic stuff. And afterwards, Wengler playing Beethoven Symphony and conducting. Yeah, I just kind of immersed myself into the music, and I wasn't sure, I couldn't describe or put in words what exactly it is. I just want to listen to it over and over. So yeah.
What music is it that you want to keep hearing?
Everything. Lots of times it's almost like when there's some music, I remember the first time I heard it. I remember the place, I remember the smell, I remember who I was with. It's like a memory that's imbued in the brain, and it's nice to bring that back. Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about Rachmaninoff. You've recorded a lot of Rachmaninoff, and your recording of Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto got my attention because it seemed to breathe new life into that piece for me. And it's a popular piece that we would call a warhorse, right? So on the one hand,
like all the other Russians.
Like all the Russians, exactly.
Yes.
But on the one hand, it's a warhorse, meaning it's a piece that is firmly in the canon, but also that it seems that these war horses, we keep playing them because they're so deep and there's so many ways in.
Right. Well, those Russian pieces, they have a way just bring out all the emotions and all the longings, nostalgic feelings in us, so we feel really human. But at the same time, it's like something larger than life, larger than human, something we all connected to. So there's like a collective, maestoso, glorious feeling about it, that we are part of something bigger than us. But that being said, it's fun, and lots of presenters always want those Russian pieces. I mean, each composer is different. Like Prokofiev is really so dark and so powerful, and could be caustic and acid and all that, edgy. But Rachmaninoff is just pure romance, or a little jazzy, but not very sentimental. And yeah, and Scriabin, of course, is completely different world.
Tell me about Scriabin's sound world for you.
Well, Scriabin went through a few stages, and last month I did the number 6 sonata, which is beginning of when he kind of starting losing himself. I like the descriptions that he used in the scores. It's all French and it's all like delirium, ecstasy, or like concentrated, mysterious. It's like sometimes like what do you want? But you kind of get that the sense of losing oneself. You know, I'm sure when he wrote the piece, he probably was losing himself into this world, and that's why that sonata he never played it because he's so scared to play the first chord, and then. Yeah, it's like himself, his life, it's sucked into the color and the tones of the world he's creating. So
yeah, no, so he like you said, had almost a messiah complex that, you know, eventually, like you say, kind of infected his music.
Right. I think it's a sense of abandoning oneself. And then actually, we do that all the time as a musician or as any performing arts performer. When you abandon yourself, you do feel like you're a messiah. You do feel like you're connected to a higher being, or I guess that's what happened. But I can't see colors, so.
So you don't have a messiah problem?
No.
As you approach a composer, do you always use the same priorities, or does each composer, are there certain things that you want to bring out?
I think I go through the same procedure, which is really reading the score very carefully, especially before Brahms. Well, after Brahms, I'm trying really hard to read the notes first. So, no, I don't think there's a different way, for me at least. And it takes a long time to. Sometimes I feel like some pieces I just learn by osmosis. It just happens. And sometimes, like when I learn the late Brahms, it takes such a long time. I know the notes, I can play the notes, but it feels like it take a long undergoing subconscious process that takes years to kind of digest myself and to become that music, which I can understand. And when I understand, I feel very comfortable. I feel like the music is I'm speaking the language. So that happens slower, and that's part of the reason why I'm holding off not to play Beethoven or Mozart.
Why is that? You feel you're not prepared for Beethoven and Mozart specifically?
Well, I'm just giving myself time because I do feel a little older now, but I am 26 and I do play those Russian pieces more thoroughly. Like it's so passionate, so hot, and so I have that blood, especially when I play with Dynamo in the recording, and those things, those really philosophical and psychological pieces that need to undergo a long-term thought process. Those pieces I do want to kind of save it later, and if I don't get it later, then I'm really screwed. It's actually a big risk to take.
Right now you're living in Russian romanticism. That's where you feel that you're just going to sit here for a while and see what you can do.
No, I mean next year, next recital, I'm doing lots of Chopin, and the Russians, I know there's at least there's always this really exciting elements in the performance, which is in a way easier to be in that kind of state of mind. It's like going to a rock concert versus going to a lecture. Yeah, which we probably will get more from the lecture and learn more and have a more growth and realization. I think that's what I'm looking forward to with Beethoven. I know this Brahms, Mozart, Bach. I probably will understand myself more. Whereas the Russians, it's like you're putting out a lot of lots of emotions, but I'm not sure how much you get back from it. So in a way, it's kind of I can't play it all the time. Yeah.
Let's get back to Dudamel and Simone Bolivar Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah.
So your next album is the Rachmaninoff third piano.
The experience of my fifth CD is incredible. I never really liked recording process, so I asked for a live concert, and the project came really fast. It just came to my mind in September, and then we're both really busy, so turns out February we had 1 week available, and so I flew from Paris to Venezuela, and it was a live concert. The first half was Prokofiev second, and second half Rachmaninoff 3. So I was a week before in Paris. I was like trying to work out like I have to be fit for this concert. It's recorded, and then once I got there, everything is very chaotic being there. But once the music started, they were just so satisfying. So much passion, so much blood and energy, and the reaction. I mean, the reflex of what if I say one thing, they'll do right away. 150% more, and 50% even better than what I thought it could sound like. So that was such an inspiration for me. I play those pieces, 2 concertos, quite a lot, especially, actually both. So that extra jot of excitement and kind of unexpectedness during the concert. The piano wasn't great, but I had amazing orchestra, and it's their first recording playing with a soloist, so I was quite honored. And I did the Prokofiev Toccata as a bonus track.
Oh, okay. Well, why not?
I just heard the recording. It sounded like I was really on something.
You said you were talking about you wanted to be fit for the program. Does that mean pianistically fit or sort of in shape, prepared? What does fitness mean to you?
Well, those 2 concertos together in one concert, usually I don't care about fitness, but in terms of physically fit, but this one I do, and also the orchestra is very powerful. They're doubled everything. So I do have to at least, sounds a little, athletically a little fit, but that's really just for those 2 pieces, and being recorded, everything is like under microscope, so you hear everything. So mentally I have to be extremely alert and emotionally very heightened, kind of almost exaggerated, and just elevate myself to that state, which actually was not hard at all once I was playing with them, because I was so excited. I heard them in Carnegie for the first time, and I was already it's just like a different energy level. Yeah.
Do you still listen to Rihanna before you go play?
Yeah, I listen before and after to calm myself down. Yeah, I love her voice.
Who outside of classical music, who do you listen to?
I like Keith Jarrett, and if I want to really wake up, I hear 5 minutes of Art Tatum because it's so fast. And I like Radiohead. I like Black Eyed Peas. And this French singer Zaz, I really like her voice. And Sting.
A lot of classical musicians see classical music at the top of the musical pyramid, and then everything else. I don't get the impression that you're that way.
No.
Yeah,
yeah, I think I'm too. I don't know. Other music really excite me as well. Just sometimes even when I play Prokofiev, I'm trying to extract the excitement or the grooves or the beats from other kinds of rock music. It's this is exactly the same. And when of course, there's all different approach. There's not just one way to approach any music, and I chose that for a few days to approach Prokofiev, and it's really fun. And there's other ways, of course, which is why it's so interesting, and we'll never get bored to play the same piece over and over, because you see it in different angles. And that being said, I think I still haven't seen one.
You haven't seen one what?
I haven't seen one angle for Beethoven yet.
Oh, okay. So this is interesting. Now you're still looking for ways into Beethoven.
Yeah,
what makes him? What's making him tough? Why does he seem to be an obstacle?
It's not an obstacle. I actually played a lot when I was in China, and then I kind of steered myself towards Russian music once I got here, and having much more concerts. So Beethoven is like a way of really shows maturity, and I don't know, and it just involves lots of reading, lots of thinking, because for me he's a philosopher, and just his way of life is so different from me right now, traveling around, going to different places, hanging out with friends, partying. I think to play his music, it needs solitude. It needs maybe not 1,000 years of solitude, but it needs that kind of time. And it's like a good bottle of wine, I guess. And just being by oneself, quiet, you know. Maybe I'll do that this summer.
Petrushka.
Right.
You seem to really capture his playfulness. When I say Stravinsky,
yeah.
What does that conjure up for you?
Stravinsky for me is like a different man in every decade. So I still like his. Maybe I'm shallow, but I still like his Firebird, Petrushka, and of course the Rise of Spring. That's every time I hear those pieces, it's just so amazing to think of that piece being played, like almost 100 years ago. What a
exactly
genius!
100 years ago.
Exactly, what a genius that was. And Petrushka is the only thing I think it's actually written by the composer for single piano, and I really identified myself with Petrushka as the character, and of course I saw the original ballet version. And it's just really fun. It's like this kind of a mechanical person, but has so much exaggerated emotions, and the movements are so exaggerated as well. So theatrical. So yeah, it wasn't difficult to kind of be a performer myself and be Petrushka myself. Yeah. And it's ballet music, so it's easier for me. Like whenever I see gestures or movement, it's easier for me to imitate or have imaginations and stuff. So I actually have that piece on my program in Carnegie coming up.
Oh, good.
Yeah, besides some Chopin. Actually, the majority of it is Chopin. Chopin for me is really special. The first piece I played publicly was the Chopin Waltz, which I still play everywhere, in C sharp minor.
Of course.
So I remember, the first piano piece I fell in love with was the Chopin Preludes and Etudes. Even the Etudes, I was like, wow, this is so cool. It's I don't know what is, but his music is just directly from celestial. It's just so perfect, and every piece is perfect. And it's not like Brahms, where when it's not perfect he burn it. And he actually just write it and then he improvise it like that, and just like his mazurkas, Polonaise, just really national but yet universal, and very innovative. Like his second piano sonata, which I recorded in the first CD. Really dark. Every movement is like four corners of the world, and then in the end it's just like this leaves, circling around on a grave. So it's this kind of ominous feeling towards death, kind of fearful but fragile, vulnerable, and at the same time really aristocratic, noble, and it's just this soul, and it's so poetic that actually the big influence of Chopin for me was when I was 12. I did the Scherzo number 4 playing for Fuzhong, and he's like the culture giant in China, not just music, which I really admire people like that. Just he knows all the literature and poetry, which is the essence of Chinese culture. And his dad is a translator for Roman Roland, which I love to read as well. I read a lot when I was in China about Beethoven, actually. So so he's like this huge admirer, and I played a Scherzo for him, and he just said Chopin's soul is completely Chinese.
When you're creating a recital program, what goes into figuring out the right balance?
Right. Well, it's actually quite excruciating to have a recital program because you're kind of like a director. Or for movie or for opera or whatever, you want to tell a story, and like I said before, you want to bring people to a journey. But at the same time, there's a balance between what actually interests me and what would be interesting for the audience. Of course, the Russian music are always exciting and so emotional and so nice to listen. But I've been doing that for a while. They are pieces. There's also a balance between quality and curiosity. So they are pieces that I'm very curious how it sounds, how it will sound in concert. Even pieces that people knows, like Brahms' Handel variation, Beethoven Hammerklavier. But for me, it's completely new. So everything is like a new creation once you bring on stage for the first time, and I'm always nervous as a wreck. No matter how much you prepared. So that's but of course if I play the pieces that I played for a long time and recorded, especially like the Scriabin or Petrushka, I know the quality will be up there because it is something I underwent. The whole metamorphosis transition, and kind of the music is like is in my blood. And that process takes longer for those pieces, for the pieces that I'm curious about, but the concert schedule does not allow me to actually do that. So but I like performing. I think it's like I'm living in a different state of being when I'm on stage. So I have to keep doing that to kind of feel alive. So so that's a very big dilemma, and that's part of the reason why I always change, because I think like
you want
last
to keep
time
it fresh.
Well, that way, and also once I learned a piece and there's a piece that I want to know, and once you know, it's like people. Once you know, you're like, maybe not, maybe not be friends with. And there are pieces you kind of don't know is mysterious, and the more you know, the more you want to know, and you want others to know, you want to share. So it's like books, it's like people, it's like it's always a matter of I guess curiosity and satisfying that curiosity. Yeah.